What's happening, everybody, off the Mike Sports Network? Reacting to Game 2 of the World Series, and here we go. As I always say, in any series, the series does not begin until the road team wins, and that's what happened here in Game 2. The Dodgers, a complete role reversal from what happened in Game 1. Yoshinobu Yamamoto went out there and did something that hasn't been done in nearly 25 years. Back-to-back complete games in the postseason, allowing 2 runs over those 2 starts and retiring the last 20 hitters that he faced against a lethal Toronto Blue Jays lineup. This game was tied, and then in the 7th inning, Kevin Gausman left a couple pitches in for Max Muncy and Will Smith to hit out of the ballpark, and then the Dodgers tacked on 2 more runs in the 8th inning, ultimately leading to the decided margin. It's 5-1. Yamamoto throws just over 100 pitches. Like I said, I don't think he had a base runner or a pitch hit out of the infield after the 3rd inning. Like, he couldn't retire the first hitter in the first 3 innings, had a tough time getting settled in. But once he got settled in, this guy was unhittable. I mean, pitches were hit, but they were for outs. And this guy just put on a masterpiece against a Toronto Blue Jays lineup that is really hard to get out. As you saw in Game 1, a really good pitcher in Blake Snell did not have a very easy time. And the Dodgers, everything that went wrong in Game 1 went right for them in this one. Yes, they had to struggle until the 7th inning to get the lead, but once they got the lead, their pitcher was just rolling. And the Dodgers tie this series up at 1, heading back to LA for Game 3 on Monday. The next 3 will be in LA, and the Dodgers have home field. And, you know, if their wish is to hopefully win the next 3, I don't know if that's really realistic against this Toronto team. But if they win the next 3, they're the world champion, and they win it at home. And they haven't had the luxury of doing and winning a World Series at home in a really long time. So, but yeah, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the first pitcher in over a decade to have 2 complete games in the same postseason. Madison Bumgarner, if you guys remember that guy was pretty damn good for the San Francisco Giants back in 2014. And, you know, obviously, you know, back-to-back complete games, which is what Curt Schilling did back in 2001 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. They won the World Series. So that's if you're looking for a good omen as a Dodger fan, the company that this guy is in, knowing that those teams ultimately went on to win the World Series, and he would be lined up for Game 6 in Toronto if we got that far. And he's been pitching out of his mind, really. And there's a reason why they invested over $300 million in this guy a couple years ago. He has been a dominant postseason pitcher for most of his career. And yeah, back-to-back postseason starts where basically he allowed his first runs early and then just settled in 100-plus pitches, and the Dodgers get, you know, some runs, some big home runs there. And then, you know, they loaded the bases up in the 8th inning, and then, you know, benefited from a wild pitch and then a double play ball that didn't happen. And the Blue Jays just could not get anything going in this game after what they did the other day. And it shows you that, hey, baseball is a funky game where from day to day, things can really change. So we'll see what happens when this series shifts to LA. I think the word is that I think it's Max Scherzer for Toronto taking on Tyler Glasnow, the big righty for the Dodgers. So that'll be a very interesting matchup. And then Shane Bieber versus Shohei Ohtani in Game 4. And then we'd reset ourselves back for Game 5. And Blake Snell, you would like to think, if you're the Dodgers, Blake Snell will not be as subpar. I'm not going to say he was bad. He won't be a subpar in Game 5 when we get there, because at minimum, the series is going to last all the way through the games in Dodger Stadium. The question now becomes, are we going to go back to Toronto? You would like for that to not be the case if you're the Dodgers, or you would like for, you know, hey, Toronto, you going back there up 3-2, as opposed to, you know, being down 3-2 and having to win 2 games in the building. So, so the big story obviously is going to be Yamamoto and what he did, because this was an absolute freaking gem in a modern era of pitching. Like I said, we haven't seen a pitcher with 2 complete games in over a decade. We haven't seen a pitcher with back-to-back complete games in the postseason in nearly 25 years. So this is historic what we saw. The big area of concern, if you're a Dodgers fan, I mean, obviously, Blue Jays, you know, they just ran into a great pitcher, and nobody's hitting Yamamoto this postseason. That's just the way this season has that's the way that this postseason has gone. So um, you just got to roll on. Hey, they're good. They've been able to win on the road, so they should. Hey, they took care of it. But as I said going into this, when they needed to win the first two. But the fact that they sent the message that they did in game one, I think they should still feel pretty good knowing that in their minds, they think, hey, we're not going to lose 4 times in a row to this team. So if you're Toronto, yes, you ran into a bad pitcher, your bats didn't get going, and you got shut down. That's the one area of concern here. The other area of concern, if you're Toronto, Kevin Gausman, his numbers look good, but if you look at some of the pitches that he threw, the Dodgers did not square up. There were a bunch of meatballs that were getting thrown. Like there were some fastballs that were right over the plate that they were missing. This could have been a lot worse for Toronto if the Dodgers actually, had put together some better at bats or had gotten the barrel to some of these other pitches that Kevin Gausman, and he did pitch into the 7th inning. And, it's just, it's just like you look at some of the pitch charts, man. Kevin Gausman, he was getting some calls. He only gave up 4 hits, but he did give up the 3 earned runs. He had 6 strikeouts, a couple homers. But yeah, there were some pitches like Freddie Freeman had some long fly balls to like the warning track that he just missed that were like 94-mile-an-hour fastballs that were like middle or like right in the wheelhouse of some of these hitters. And then, finally Max Muncy and Will Smith in the 7th inning got to a couple of those pitches, and ultimately that was the difference in the game. So that's the other thing. So if there should be a little bit of concern, at least on the Toronto side, is, hey, is Kevin Gausman going to be okay? Also, if you're the Dodgers, you have got to be better in some of these at-bats. Like Teoscar Hernandez struck out a bunch in this game. Shohei Ohtani still been really inconsistent. He did get 1 hit and came in with the run. Will Smith, obviously. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Of the main guys in this lineup, Will Smith's been their best hitter. And this guy had a hand injury coming into the playoffs. And he finally hit a home run. But the Dodgers' top guys have got to get going because that is a huge issue. Teoscar Hernandez struck out 4 times in this game. I mean, Max Muncy has been hitting pretty well. Mookie Betts had no hits in this game. Freddie Freeman couldn't square up a couple of pitches. Andy Pajas did get a hit, but, like a lot of their cornerstone guys, like the MVPs at the top of their lineup, really haven't been hitting. And it was Will Smith and Max Muncy. Max Muncy, who is, a pretty prolific Dodger hitter over the years, but he's not considered like, at the top of the list of some of these, like, A-plus MVP guys that they have in this lineup. So that if you're a Dodger fan, that's got to be a little bit of a concern too, moving forward. But the fact is, you did get to Gausman. You did beat him. Your pitching and your pitching plan was perfect. The bullpen did not see the light of day. That was a huge issue in game 1. Now you've got to hope that Tyler Glasnow can get some depth into the game because, hey, Roki Sasaki hasn't even been involved in this series yet. We'll see how they deal with that moving forward. Because I don't think Tyler Glasnow is going to pitch like Yamamoto did. Yamamoto, that was a once-in-a-generation performance, and he's done that twice in his back-to-back starts. So, but we're 1-1 going to LA. It'll be very interesting to see how Toronto responds to what transpired in this game because, like, I told my sister when they got base runners, I was like, there's no way they're going to get shut out. And then when they scored that run on the sac fly, I was like, man, there's no way that this – and Yamamoto just – barreled down and retired 20 consecutive hitters. Like 20 consecutive hitters against any lineup in the modern era of baseball is insane. To do it against this Blue Jays lineup that has been impossible to get out. You guys saw how good they were in game 1 against a really good pitcher in Blake Snell. Yamamoto shut this team down. Shut this team down. We hadn't seen anything quite like that really since, what happened in, I think, what was it, game 1 of the Seattle series. Good pitching can neutralize this lineup, but like that was multiple pitchers that they had to use to get through that. This was one pitcher shutting down this lineup. So off day, travel day. We're going from Canada to America. It's 1-1. Great series so far. I'm expecting to see a lot more great games left in this playoff series. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.